Ugh, nothing but old robes. 40 years of searching, and I end up with Kali Baba's dirty laundry.
Well, Uncle Scrooge, at least you can listen to this episode of the Retro Rerun podcast.
Reflux capacitors, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, 1990. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I am your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your ex-own mind, Paul, the PaulJPowers.com Powers.
Zabooey!
Is it Zaboo? I thought it was Shaboo.
Jabooey! Whatever you want it to be.
Wow. Also, for this Shabooey discussion of the film DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, we welcome back aboard and also not back aboard creators of Coffee and Adventures.
Wait, we're not welcoming them back aboard?
We're welcoming them aboard. One of them has been here before, so we're welcoming him back aboard. One of them has not, so we're just welcoming her aboard. Okay, Paul?
Oh, okay. So no one's not welcomed.
Exactly.
No, wait, that's two double negatives. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
We have Coffee and Adventures YouTube and Twitch channel creators here, Joe and Rachel Morgan. Hey, Joe and Rachel.
Hi.
Howdy.
Oh, hello. And in addition to Joe and Rachel, we're glad to have back aboard Administration Officer of the Pod, Ashley Ruiz. Hey, Ashley.
Hey,
and
thanks
is she
for having
welcome?
me back. What can I say except you're welcome?
Thanks for keeping it Disney. Let's continue. Now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp?
Sure. DuckTales was released in October 1989 in North America on the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was developed and published by Capcom. And DuckTales sold approximately 1.67 million copies worldwide, becoming Capcom's...
Paul.
Yes.
We're actually, thank you for those factoids about the game.
Yeah.
We're actually reviewing the movie DuckTales.
Are you sure? Because like your brother Keito said, it possibly could be a game. I mean, what are the odds that there hasn't been a game yet?
I mean, everyone that listens to our ship's logs probably is like, maybe this should be the game. This should be DuckTales the game. But alas, no, the riddle was pointing to the Treasure of the Lost Lamp, not the game, which does not have...
could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
Fine, I'll go and rewatch the movie. All right, DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. That one?
Yes, that one.
All right. Was released August 3rd, 1990, a year later. Runs an hour and 14 minutes and is rated G. It was directed by Bob Hatchcock and written by Alan Burnett, Carl Barks, Ted Osborne, and Al Taliaferro. Sorry, Al. With lead stars being Al Young, Terrence McGovern, Christopher Lloyd, Russi Taylor, and Rip Taylor. No relation. The music was composed by David Newman. Are you ready for the box office trivia game?
I'm ready. Ashley, Joe, and Rachel, are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anyone here who is here live in chat, feel free to chime in and where you think DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, ranks in 1990s cinema movies. Go for it, Paul.
All right, DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, was made for about $20 million. It earned only around $18 million at the box office. So given this fact, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released theatrically in 1990? We'll go for the top 100.
Top 100. Okay, let's start with Rachel. What's your guess?
Oh, gosh. Like 1 to 100?
Yes. So it ranks number one, like it got the most box office, or 100, it got like the least box office.
90.
90, okay. Joe, how about you?
I'll say 85.
85. Okay. Ashley?
I was going to go with 86. When I don't know, I just go with the year that I was born.
All right.
It just got prices rotted.
Right. Then here in chat, Dale guesses 50. Split End 89 guesses 63. Yeah, $1 Bob. Exactly, Split End. And Starbucks coming in hot with 84. Oh, man. Just keep
Gotta use those birth years, man.
I'm going to go with my birth year of 81.
Might be sadly disappointed, husband.
Yeah.
So, Paul, where did it end up?
Well, according to the-numbers.com, it came in just below Jetsons the movie at 65.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So 65. I think Split End 89 won that.
I guessed 81, Paul.
Split
End guessed 63. You said 69. Yeah,
65.
63.
Yes.
That means you lost, husband.
Yes, I lost. Congratulations, Split End, on winning that trivia.
Good job.
65,
your prize is
geez.
not in the mail.
I saw both those movies in theaters. Though.
I did too. I had totally forgotten about Jetsons.
Both of these movies. I'm
The Jetsons movie was a great one too.
Yeah.
Except why is there a music number in my Jetsons movie?
Because Judy Jetson was voiced by Tiffany, and they had to show off her musical.
Wait,
chops.
no, Judy. I thought it was the alien girl that sung.
No,
Judy sung?
No,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, it was Judy.
There might have been more than one song. I don't remember.
Yeah.
You know what? We're probably getting decepted over here.
My Jetson.
Yes. Thank you for those factoids, Paul, about DuckTales the movie, not the Jetsons the movie. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert, alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
What? Paul, is that you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's the wrong movie, Paul. This is DuckTales the movie.
Coming to theaters, it's all your favorite DuckTales heroes in their first big screen motion picture. They're on a fantastic journey to a faraway land, searching for the world's biggest treasure.
Jumpstart in the hunt.
Facing evil villains. And having the time of their lives.
That's easy for you to say.
It's a DuckTales adventure so big, no TV can hold it. DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Land. Starts Friday, August 3rd at a theater near you.
Woohoo, indeed.
Have to wait till
Wackaroony. Have to wait. Yes, exactly. And that's what we remember is having to wait till August. But and that commercial also probably brings back some other memories. But let's see what our collective memory mind meld synopsis was for DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. Flintheart Glomgold beats Scrooge to a massive treasure in the jungle. As a condolence prize, he gives Scrooge an oil lamp, who then gives it to Huey Lewis and News. What? Huey Lewis and the News. Kids discover one of the most obnoxious and annoying genies in existence, a kid in the lamp who we feel sorry for. Klingon Doc Brown changes to cartoon duck with a magical amulet to steal back the genie and his lamp from the kids making wishes. It's a battle with Judge Doom as Scrooge falls through clouds and rescues Genie from Professor Plum. Zabooey! Yes, those were lots of Christopher Lloyd characters, but I would say those memories were decepted. There's no Flintheart Glomgold in this movie, for instance.
So weird, huh?
Right? So weird. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this film before you rewatched it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Rachel again. What was your prediction for this film?
My prediction was nostalgic.
Nostalgic?
Yeah.
Do you want to unpack why it was nostalgic, or are you just like, I'm going to let it lie?
Because honestly, I really couldn't remember a ton from the movie. But looking at it, and I swear I've had the DuckTales song in my head for like 2 weeks straight.
Nice.
That right there is just nostalgia. So it kind of ties in with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I also went with nostalgic. That's for the same reason. It's like, to me, it's not classic because I couldn't remember any of the major points of the film.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I grew up with the DuckTales, so that's going to be nostalgic for me.
Okay, fantastic. Ashley, how about you?
Let's keep the nostalgic train going. For me, I rated it that way because we had it on VHS growing up, and I remember watching this movie on repeat in the very early 90s. And just, again, couldn't remember too much from the film, but remember enjoying it and having fond memories watching it with my family.
Nice. Paul, is the train derailed or is it keep on trucking?
Let's keep it going because I predicted nostalgic. I enjoyed watching this in the theaters and enjoyed the cartoon back in the day, but not a real desire to go ahead and dive into it again anytime soon. So while I enjoyed it then, I predicted nostalgic as well.
Okay. Very good, guys. Then, I mean, the train has left the station and made it to its destination because nostalgic was my prediction as well.
Wow, unanimous.
For predictions, yes,
right.
Unanimous prediction of nostalgic. I remember it being fun. I grew up with it, so I thought it could be a fun romp again. And it'll be interesting to see if those nostalgic predictions come true. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we liked most about DuckTales, the movie. Treasure of the Lost Lamp. Let's spin up our
Best bets.
And I'm going to start with Joe. What was one thing you liked about this film?
There was a bird with a mustache.
That's what you liked about it? Finally, birds with mustaches. I've been looking everywhere for
There aren't
this.
enough of them, I'm telling you.
Oh, my word. Okay. And I mean, it wasn't just the bird. He carried his mustache
All
through
his animal
his
forms had the mustache.
Yeah.
I actually made a note of that in my notes, that there was consistencies. No matter what his form was, he had that.
Yeah.
And I delighted in that.
Okay.
The roach form, the rat form. Yeah.
That's fair.
All the various birds, the bear form.
Did he have it in
The
bear
griffin.
form?
Yes, he had it in
griffin,
every single form. It was consistent. It was consistently ridiculous, but it still made me chuckle every time.
All right. Are you a fan of mustaches in general, Joe, or
Now that I can grow one, I'm a big fan.
fair? Very
It took me
fair.
38 years to
I
get
see your wish has finally came true.
Oh my gosh. Rachel, I wish for you to share your first like with us.
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
As soon as I heard his voice, it was like, oh, yes. So I'm a fan.
So Christopher Lloyd, his characterization of the character or the character Murloc in general?
Just the fact that Christopher Lloyd did the voice pretty much.
Okay.
Just because I connect him to so many cool characters.
Yeah.
That hearing him, it was just really neat. So, and I think he seems like such a cool, nice, genuine guy that hearing him voice a bad guy was just it was kind of neat. Yeah,
absolutely. I can totally get behind.
I also enjoyed his vocal performance on this, but I'll go ahead and put this out there. I'm wondering, did anybody feel about like half the time he just phoned it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't notice. Very well could have, but yeah.
He got paid the same either way. So why not?
I feel like it wouldn't have taken a lot of effort for him to do something really stand out.
Yeah.
I will say this, in terms of his villains, Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit stands out way more
that's true.
than this villain. So
if this film was directed by Robert Zemeckis, we may have gotten a little more takes from him on it. But.
Maybe.
He couldn't be that scary for this one, so
no.
Can't scare the kids.
This was a children's movie.
Bob Hathcock was probably like, he's Christopher Lloyd. I want to make him read another one. Oh, that's great, Christopher. That's great. We'll go with that.
But apparently it was good enough for him to get other voice roles voicing villains.
Yeah,
I mean, look at 97's Anastasia.
Was he in that? Okay.
Yes, he was.
I mean,
he had a beard in that too.
He did have a beard in that. But he didn't really change forms.
No,
that's true. That's true.
This was a lot like sunnier than Anastasia. That movie's a lot darker.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Ashley, what was not dark, but actually light for you about, I was about to say Who Framed Roger Rabbit, about DuckTales the movie.
About DuckTales the movie and not that.
Yes.
Well, I too enjoyed the consistencies with the mustache and all the transformations and Christopher Lloyd's delivery. Like those two things were very enjoyable. But I will say, now that I know and have relevance to Indiana Jones, I appreciate this movie ever so much more because growing up, I had no idea what Indiana Jones was. I didn't actually see any of the Indiana Jones movies until 2021.
Wow.
So like these were just illusions that I didn't really see them. So now having that background, like I love that this movie in the very beginning is just it's paying like loving tribute.
Yes.
And just showing like, hey, even these ducks can have an Indiana Jones-esque adventure. So I loved little homage. People might say it was a ripoff, that it was just in poor taste. People can say whatever they want, but I appreciate it more now. So I did like that quite a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, it did feel like it felt like a Indiana Jones opener in a way, for sure. Yeah.
But I feel like it was done with respect and loving tribute. I don't feel like it was like, hey, Indiana Jones is popular. Let's see if we can just make this into a cash grab and try to do that.
Indiana Jones was influenced by the DuckTales comics before, and then DuckTales the cartoon was influenced by Indiana Jones movies. So they've had a love relationship of influencing each other through the years.
So the crossover is going to be noticeable because they impacted each other.
Yeah, and now they're both owned by Disney. So
I
feel like something similar happened with like spaghetti westerns and Japanese samurai films. They sort of lifted off each other back and forth for a while there in the 50s, 60s. Anyway, let's go with Paul next. What's something you liked about this film?
There were parts of this movie that I really enjoyed the animation on this. And what I mean is like the exaggeration of the characters' expressions were a little bit more than you normally see in a TV series, but they were still on model and they were well done. I mean, like animating that staircase at the end as it's growing and Scrooge on it is just some beautiful animation right there. There's other parts of animation that I'll say for later, but some of the parts that were well done, I thought were really well done for this. This feels like it was like in between TV animation and feature film animation. This has like an in-between valley there where this nests in there.
Funny about that because this team went on to make some of this direct-to-DVD movies. So I feel like that's sort of the quality you're speaking to. The one animation scene that for whatever reason, just you saying that jogged my memory, Paul, was where Scrooge is on his money in the money bin toward the end, and then there's this wave and undulates and it all becomes like this like rocky lava spiky stuff. And that's just such an amazing transformation. And I'll also say the animations of Murloc transforming into other creatures, they were fluid. They're so fluid, and it was quick. It wasn't like a fade out, opacity fade one to in from the other.
They could have easily cheapened it and did but
it wasn't. It didn't seem like anything like that. There were like those keyframes of the transformation, which was awesome.
So like the very beginning where Launchpad's flying the plane in. And he kind of like that just looked incredible.
Yes, absolutely. Something else that wasn't quite as incredible but made my like list was, I don't know, there's just some, and I think this is certainly you get this in the series, but the sweetness of Webby towards Scrooge, especially in the beginning, and where he's like, oh, at least it's a nice box, and like, oh, well, you can have this lamp if it makes you feel better after they lose all the treasure, and he sort of reciprocates, just like, no, that's okay. It's I thought I just really enjoyed that sweetness of their care for each other.
And you sure you weren't influenced by that because you watched it with the kids?
Probably not. No. my heart is filled with blackness and hate.
You have a heart made of ice, and so we're going to melt your icy heart with a cool island song. Gentlemen, in the tropical isles with the coconut trees, there's a lot of... Wait. I thought we were going to cool his hot heart with a cool island song. No, he has an icy heart. But you can't melt ice with a cool song, so we have to warm his icy heart with a hot island song. It's a cool island song. Well, then we're going to end up freezing his hellish heart with a cool island song. Oh, do you want to do that?
I think my hot heart needs to be cooled with a fresh island song. I think that's what...
No.
Let's go back to Rachel. What's something else you liked about this film?
Seeing the sumo wrestling scorpions brought back like a core childhood memory because
really?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
I remember seeing those as a kid and just thinking, oh, those are so cool.
Yeah.
So to see them again and have that memory just kind of jogged was just like, wow. It was a neat feeling. So
Blast from the past.
Yeah,
right?
it was so neat.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, and sort of along with that, there are so many moments in this where I was recalled to hearing the inflections and the intonations of people's voices, like Launchpad in that moment saying forward, ho, reverse, ho.
Yeah.
If you keep going, I'll give you the heave ho. Just stuff like that. Yeah, but that's awesome that brought that back to memory for you, Rachel. Joe, is there something that you either remembered liking and also liked this time, or you just liked this time for the first time?
Well, yeah, it was also kind of a jogging memory, and I didn't realize this was going to be her second one either. Mine's right in line with that. Like when he throws the switch, when the villain throws the switch to drop them into the thing, and Scrooge is like sword fighting them off with his cane.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a fun moment.
Yeah.
He fights him all the way back to the water's edge.
I'll talk about that in a bit, but yeah, that was a great moment for sure.
Actually, some fun, adventurous moments in this.
Yeah. I'd say that it's pretty adventurous throughout for the most part. Ashley, what's something you liked? What's something else you liked about this film?
Well, definitely seeing these moments on the screen again after it's been over 20 years since I've seen this. So it definitely lent to having moments of nostalgia watching those iconic moments. But what I was really captivated by was just how intricate some of the backgrounds in this movie were. Like when they were flying into the desert and when they were in the temple, and just how intricate and everything was. Even this background here in Scrooge's library in the city of Duckberg and all the things that you're seeing, they're just so intricate because I think Paul alluded to this, like it's somewhere between television animation and like feature film animation. But I was just so captivated by how, even though it was kind of like animation like 1.5, because you don't want to go quite to 2.0. It's like animation like 1.5.
Okay. Yeah.
Just how captivated I was by so many of these backgrounds and just the realness. Even though it's an animated feature and you've got anthropomorphic ducks and other animals, like just there was just so much there was so much believability to the world that they created for these characters.
Yeah.
And it was just fun to watch and just see the world that they were exploring and having their adventures in.
Very cool.
Speaking of backgrounds in the worlds, did you notice when they did a pan over Duckberg, they had the bridge going over to St. Canard, which for your Darkwing Duck fans?
Yes. All those little touches.
I forgot it was called St. Canards, but I did notice that. I'm like, I think that's the Darkwing Ducks Island. That's very cool.
It is.
Awesome.
It was. I thought it was fantastic.
I don't think I realized they were connected or they're that close together.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay, that's like two metropolitans really close together.
Yeah,
though.
in fact, it doesn't make sense. In the worlds that they build, they don't quite gel, so it's not 100% accurate in how their stories align, but you just have to go with it.
Okay, that's fair. Awesome. Paul, what do I just have to go with because you like it, apparently?
Not only did Christopher Lloyd provide a great voice acting, I thought all the characters did such a marvelous job. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these people have passed, and so so one of the reasons why you don't get them in the reboot. But it's just so nice to hear these voices that I loved growing up and hearing them in. So I really enjoyed the voices in this.
Yes, and you know what? My next like goes right into that. Is I thought Rip Taylor, who played Genie/Gene, I thought he brought so much to that character that could have easily been phoned in. But I thought he I'm not super familiar with him. Is he like a comedian of some sort? Or?
He was back in the day.
Okay. But yeah, I just really enjoyed his characterization of Genie. So now it's time, though, to get to the things we loved most, our classic makers for DuckTales, the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. And I'm going to start with Ashley this time.
Okay. DuckTales, what can I say? But the classic maker of any DuckTales entity for me is Scrooge McDuck himself. Alan Young is he brings so much to the character. And this character is so multifaceted. He cares about his family. He's obsessed with his money. He has a heart of gold that you kind of have to melt a little bit to get to the soft, gooey center. But he's so multidimensional and he's fun to watch, and he has so many of the best lines in this movie. Yes. And just how he is as a character, he's just so iconic and classic. And I think Alan Young's portrayal of him, not just in this, but in the DuckTales series, is why I can't watch the 2017 reboot. I just can't. I know some kids love it, and I know our kids were saying that they like the newer version more than this, and they can't understand why we like this.
Well, they liked Mrs. Beakley more in the new version, which I don't really get. She looks like a linebacker to me in the new version.
But honestly, he's a scene stealer for me. I'm glad he's the main focus because he is the heart and soul of this series. I love the relationships that he has with his great nephews, and with his adopted niece Webby. It's just so sweet, and he has good relationships with his staff, and that they all rally together throughout the movie.
Telling them, sir.
Exactly. With what's his name?
Is his name it's not Wadsworth.
No, it's
Duckworth.
Duckworth. His name is Duckworth, and then Mrs. Beakley. Even though he's this wealthy miser and he is very motivated by his finances, he does have a heart of gold and he cares about all the people around him. And it just makes this movie so much better.
Yeah, awesome. Joe, what makes this movie so much better for you because it's in it?
It's you had it as a but my classic maker was Webby.
Oh, okay, really?
That scene where she comes up with the lamp and he's so downtrodden and just defeated, and she's willing to give up the only thing she's got to make him, just to try to ease his suffering a little bit. That is such a great portrayal.
Yes, absolutely. And so me and Paul, a while ago, for bonus content, we went through the first 5 episodes, or the pilot episodes of DuckTales. Do you remember why we did that, Paul?
Because we wanted to.
I thought it was connected to something else. But I seem to recall Scrooge not liking Webby at all, thinking she was annoying. And so it's awesome seeing how
he didn't want these kids dumped on him.
Yeah.
We didn't want the kids dumped on him?
Yeah, Donald was leaving for the Navy, and then Mrs. Beakley came, and there was another kid.
Okay. Gotcha. Yes. So it is cool seeing how they've progressed. Rachel, what's the thing that's really struck you as the best part of this film?
Paul and Ashley mentioned it earlier. Actually, it's the animation.
Yeah.
I love the animation style. Ashley mentioned the details in the backgrounds, and then it was just how you could see the brush strokes in the movement of the characters, and it was just so cool. I loved it. So
you guys are not going to love me here in about 20 minutes, but let's go to
that's future us's problem.
Since we have a lot of people, you this was my classic maker, but you said before, I'll go off that train, and I'll say that Scrooge was my classic maker. I just loved how Joe, you had mentioned how he was fine with scorpions. I felt like even before that moment, it's as soon as Murloc was talking, he was giant on the spot. He knew that was a bad guy. He had no question about it. He was making for the bridge, trying to get across. Didn't make it in time. Old duck joints or whatever. But still, he was he knows what's happening.
He knows what's up.
His nephews can't really get anything over on him for the most part. Sometimes they're a little slyer than him, but I love how he's just so with it. He does get that moment, of course, where he's in prison and he's just hopeless, but his family coming back for him rejuvenates him, and then they have a plan. I love how they write that character to be a smart adult that knows what to do, still has a heart, like you were saying, Ashley, a heart of gold, even underneath the miserliness. So yeah, I really appreciate it. And yeah, Alan Young voicing him, in my opinion, way better than David Tennant's voice. Not that David Tennant does a poor job, but my preferences will always be Alan Young.
It's just because it's what you're nostalgic for.
Yep. No, it's because it is
classic Scrooge.
Qualitatively better, objectively better. Yeah.
It struck me watching, near the end there. He's falling off the side, right? And they're fighting. Murloc and they were fighting. Uh-huh. And Murloc's this like griffin clawing at him stuff. And he's just like ringing the cane around his neck. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. No,
he doesn't have a parachute, but he's going down swinging, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got nothing left to lose.
Feisty.
So he's put everything on the line. He's like, I got nothing left to lose. So here you go, guy.
Exactly. And that leaves Paul. What's your classic maker for DuckTales the movie?
For me, I've got to go with the character design. It's been mentioned before, like how I don't like the reboot as much. I mean, just with the reboot has some great camera moves. There's some positive things about it, but I prefer the character design of
just
these.
More organic, more like
yes, it's more organic, and it's not like for the people on the video, like this box cover art that is not quite right.
Yeah, he never really had an Indiana Jones hat,
and just like their faces are a little too round. Like the animation, the character designs, like not only from the Ducks but also the original characters from the villain Murloc and even the sumo wrestling crabs
Scorpions.
Or whatever they were, scorpions. I mean, just the character designs I thought were really well thought out and they fit really well together, and I just think it made the piece way better for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mean the piece as a whole, like our piece?
The movie was better because the character design elevated the movie up.
Got it. Okay. More. Got it. I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm glad someone is.
Yes. Well, yeah, and there was a lot to like about this film. But you know what, guys? It's probably time to get into the things we didn't like. So let's see. We're going to start. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes, guys. I forgot one other thing that I have to share that I liked. I know we all had an equal number, but sorry, I'm gonna exercise my captain privilege to share one more thing I liked. It's some I like. Playing Games with Strangers. Playing Games with Strangers is a family-friendly, actual play podcast where indie voice actors get together and play tabletop role-playing games. You can listen to the adventure unfold as they roll dice, slay monsters, and have fun. You can find that all at playinggameswithstrangers.com.
Wait, Francisco. We were reviewing DuckTales the movie. I didn't hear an announcer voice come over and say,
Disney's DuckTales will return after these messages.
So what does playing games with strangers have to do with DuckTales the movie?
Well, in DuckTales the movie, there's these scorpion monsters, and Murloc turns into monsters, and playing games with strangers, they slay monsters, and they're actual play tabletop campaigns.
Are you playing games with me? Like, what's going on here?
All right, it's not a perfect fit. I was going to do Cellcast, but I will say, Playing Games with Strangers is our newest member of Culture Box. And in case you haven't caught on, we promote other Culture Box shows in this sort of section. So glad to have them be a part of this. And sorry, Cellcast, we'll put you in next time. That would have been a much better fit because it's like, oh, well, they've covered this movie before. So ha, 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 Paul. But alas, I didn't get that. Would you like some trivia, though, Paul, about DuckTales the movie?
Yeah, that would be better because it's about DuckTales the movie.
All right, fine. DuckTales is back after these messages or something. Did you all realize that villains from the DuckTales cartoon, like Beagle Boys, Magica De Spell, and Flintheart Glomgold, do not appear in the movie because the filmmakers didn't want to confuse newcomers who had not seen the Disney afternoon cartoon?
Lame.
I was just about to say lame. You have this new... I won't get into it.
I was about to say, you have new characters anyway. Like, what difference does it make?
Okay. But regardless, my question for you all is, what villain from the cartoon would you have liked to have seen in the movie, and how would you have incorporated them? Would you have swapped them with another character? Would you worked them into a story beat somehow? What villain, how would you have incorporated them in? Let's begin with Joe. I'm going to put you on the spot.
I had to do some research to remember who the villains from the cartoon were.
Okay, no worries.
The Beagle Boys are they come to mind, but Magica Dispel is the one I think would fit the best here.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Because she could have worked hand in hand, so to speak, with Murloc.
Oh, absolutely.
They're both playing in the same sandbox.
Yeah, of magic and whatnot. Absolutely.
Yeah, she could have been the main villain.
Really could have been, yes.
Yeah, could have been, because she's always against Scrooge, and she has a personal relationship with him. Like, she knows him, and she's always trying to get his number one dime, just because of what it means to him. And so it probably would honestly expand the story instead of having this random sorcerer guy. It's like Christopher Lloyd is awesome and whatnot, but it kind of disconnects you from the overall DuckTales continuity, and I understand that was their MO, but honestly, if you're using a familiar IP like that, when it was in the height of the Disney afternoon, because that premiered in 87, this was 90, it was several years in the making, and then they actually reran it until about 92. So there was familiarity. They could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a shame they didn't, because I wholeheartly agree with the Magica Dispel angle. That's exactly what I wrote down.
Oh, really? Okay, that was yours as well.
Yeah, and I agree with both Paul and yeah. Could have been the center of it all. Yeah.
Rachel, is it Magica Dispel for you as well, or someone else?
Okay, so I know I watched DuckTales as a kid, but I honestly have no memory of any of the characters.
Okay, no worries.
I even looked up different shows from that same time period to try to jog my memory. Like, what was I watching around that time? I know I watched it. I have no memory.
Okay.
What's Fat Cat doing in this movie?
So, like, I know I watched this movie because I remembered parts of it, but I have no memories of the show. So
okay, interesting.
That
no
is
worries.
a great question.
No problem. Paul, how about you?
For me, it was an easy one. That not match? Well, first of all, I would like them all. You can incorporate all of them.
Oh yeah,
but
like, give us a
waves.
Rogues Gallery story. That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
What if they all teamed up together?
Exactly. Yeah.
To take down Scrooge and his fortune.
Speaking of teaming up together, I thought it would have been perfect once Scrooge goes to jail, is that he teams up with the Beagle Boys to get out of jail, and they know how to break into his bin and stuff. So he actually has to team up with the Beagle Boys to take that down. And so that's what I would have loved to have seen.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, I still like the angle that he knows his money bin so well that he knows how to get in, but that still was great. I
So
like
do
that.
the Beagle Boys, because how many times have they gone in?
And
Too
then
many times
they
to
still
count.
have for whatever reason they still have one of those big robots to fight.
For the construction crew.
Exactly.
Yes. Bring them all in.
all of them. Make this a 3-hour epoch. That's fine.
As long as it makes sense. Lord of the Rings it. Let's go.
Exactly.
12 hours.
What is DuckTales the movie? Come out in 2000. It was in its heyday in the late 80s. The fans want 3 hours. Okay. Okay. Anyway.
Good luck with that.
This didn't even hit half that, though.
No.
Yeah. It was an hour 14? That's what y'all
74, 75 minutes.
Hour 14. Yeah, exactly.
Dang.
So,
Well, great trivia, Francisco.
thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
Yes, and if any of you here live in chat want to share your memories, just do a real capitalize memory and then share the memory after that, and we'll read those here in a second. But from locals, D. Tungsten said, if they went the wrong way to wrong way, then I remember that. Otherwise, I'm remembering the wrong DuckTales thing. I think you're remembering the wrong DuckTales thing. Interesting trivia about DuckTales. The giant boulder that seems like it was borrowed from Indiana Jones actually was originally in the Disney comics, upon which that series is based, and Indiana Jones took inspiration from that.
Cool.
Though I think that boulder is from one of the cartoon episodes.
I think he's saying that the boulder from Raiders of the Lost Ark was originally in the Disney comics.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
But
yeah.
Drew says, I remember as a kid being confused as to what kind of tea party involved throwing the tea off a boat. Spoiler alert, this is how I learned about the Boston Tea Party.
See, Drew learns about U.S. history. I learn about how to put T-shirts on from old movies. It's a win-win.
It's educational.
Exactly. From Facebook, Patrick Edwards says, Christopher Lloyd makes a good villain.
He makes a great villain.
Well, that too.
Jacob B. Heron says, fun movie, and he throws a bunch of emojis in there.
Indeed. Joseph Day, one of those two, really enjoyed this movie.
And Stephen Forrester says,
Shaboy!
He does. And then here live in chat, that's where Baba says, I remember that I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. Thank you for that insight, Baba. Oh, my word. But thank you all for sharing your memories. And none of them really leads us, no one had anything bad to say about this film, but there may be some things that we didn't like watching it again. So let's spin up our worst things about DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. And I'm going to start us off, not kick us off. Ha, Paul, you don't get to play your... Dang it, I did it. I said I did it.
Yay.
Harumph. And this goes pretty much right into the trivia. The lack of original DuckTales characters, and just to have them replaced by Dijon and Murloc, that whole bit, like you said, Paul, about we don't want to confuse people. Well, you're already making new characters for this that people aren't going to know. So just have a snippet that introduces the old character that won't bore the people that do know them and will introduce the people that don't. Even though most of these people, I'm sure, if they're taking their kids to this movie, they've probably seen this in some form and know some of these characters. So I would have loved to have Gizmo Duck in this.
Oh, man.
I would have loved to have, some of the villains like Magica or the Beagle Boys. There's so much I feel like they could have done to really zhuzh up this movie that they just didn't. Flintheart Glomgold is probably the villain I would have liked to have seen in it in some way, shape, or form. I would have loved Flintheart and Scrooge to have had to have teamed up. But
yeah,
anyway.
Flintheart could have been at the meeting society, but no.
And that's another thing. They could have had so many cameos at that society of those people, but no.
Missed opportunities.
Yeah, they put in a character that looks like an Indiana Jones, which is kind of cool, but I wish they would have put in other well-known characters. So that's something I didn't like. Let's go to Ashley next.
Get out of my head, husband, because that was one of my dislikes as well. But the way that I phrased it, that it didn't have enough from the DuckTales series in the movies outside of the main characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And I basically came to the conclusion that it was just a series of missed opportunities, especially if they say, oh, we don't want to confuse anybody. You still have it set in the same universe. Mm-hmm. You're still using the same characters. They still go back to their hometown of Duckberg. Mm-hmm. You're referencing the money bin. You're referencing all these things that were established in other places.
Yeah.
So yes, you're establishing new continuity within this line, but there's no real introductions to these new characters, except they're just introduced on screen. And okay, cool. They're here. And there were missed opportunities because you're right. Parents who would have been taking their children to see this in the theaters, they would have already had a history, most likely with the Disney afternoon shows, maybe the comics, depending on where their introduction started. But it was definitely a missed opportunity. And even as a kid watching it.
Those people who knew the comics knew Mrs. Featherby. People watching the TV show is like, who's this old lady?
Probably, maybe, yes.
Wait, isn't that the...
No, but not Mrs. Beakley. Before Mrs. Beakley's introduced, while he's in the money bin, there's this old woman duck that serves him.
What about your lunch?
That's Mrs. Featherby, who's in the comics.
Oh, okay. She's in the cartoon also, isn't she?
I think later she makes an appearance, but not up to this point.
Yeah.
really?
And
Okay.
she was in the movie first. Wasn't she the woman that asked about his lunch? What about your lunch?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sell it.
So she had like a 45-second bit that she was in, but it was a missed opportunity.
But it was a great opportunity to have June Foray voice her, who also did the voice of Magic of the Spell and many others in the DuckTales series.
They already
so
had
that was nice.
Their core voice cast. Why couldn't they just
Yeah, exactly.
just represent it in a different way? Disappointment.
I agree. Let's go to something that was disagreeable that Joe didn't like.
I don't like Rip Taylor's performance.
Oh, well, fine, Joe. Whatever. What don't you like about it?
That character, just everything about his voice and everything drives me nuts.
It's like it's sped up so he doesn't sound as old, which probably just doesn't help the annoyance of it.
Well, then they put 80-year-old man eyebrows on this kid duck.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought he was fun, but I understand he can be over the top.
And that was confusing for me because I was confused why he was a kid, because I thought he was supposed to be like a grown-up type genie, just like a short one. Right. So that did confuse me. But apparently
he was hundreds of years old, right? But
yeah, something like that.
Who are you expecting?
Centuries.
Robin Williams?
Yes, I would have liked that very much.
They were going for, right?
Did Aladdin come out before this or after?
After.
Okay.
They took everything that was wrong with this and tried to make a new movie.
Yep.
Wow. All right. What should they have tried to make new, in your opinion, Rachel?
So I'm trying to choose.
No worries.
I didn't like how the Middle Eastern men helping at the dig site and Dijon were portrayed. I thought it was just really like stereotypical.
Mm-hmm.
So just the way that they sounded when they were talking, and there was a sound in particular that one of the men made at the very beginning that was just
cringeworthy.
Very cringe, and how
didn't age well.
It did not age well. So
why can't they just sound like American? I mean, United Statesians. Yeah.
Like, why can't they have actual accents instead of sort of the
caricature?
The heightened
Yeah,
caricature.
I can see that.
It
that's
just
fair.
sounded like
a bad impersonation.
A horrible impersonation. Exactly.
Again, I am shrugging.
Yeah.
So, I think having someone with that actual accent from that part of the country,
that's fair,
would have been a lot better. So.
Yeah. As opposed to someone saying, nothing but old robes. Jeez.
Yeah. Why don't you get a real Scottish guy in here?
Wait, Scrooge is Irish. I thought Glomgold was Scottish.
I think it might be switched.
Now you're going to make me look it up. Continue, Rachel.
Pretty sure Macduck.
Know your facts, Francisco.
Yeah, Macduck is
Macduck.
Scottish, I'm pretty sure.
Hold on.
Pretty sure it is Scottish.
Were you done, Rachel, or is there more?
Oh, no, I'm done, yeah.
Okay. Then, Paul, what's something you didn't like?
I ended off saying that the animation was pretty good, but I'm going to start off with my dislikes. That the animation was pretty bad. At least half the time. I mean, you have like things like Kali Baba's symbol, Scrooge turning it, and it's like, it's like vibrant and separate color, and then the next scene it's like dull color, same as the background, and it's not turned. You have coins just throwing off, being disappeared, like no consistency. But the most frustrating is like the first 10 minutes, it's like beautifully shaded, but as soon as they get out of the pyramid, all the shading stops. It's like they okay, we're gonna put some money into the first 10 minutes and that's it. And it's like, I know what you're doing. Stop crapping on this movie and make it good.
Makes you wonder if they ran out of time because they spent all this time animating in the beginning and like, oh man, we're behind schedule. Hurry it up,
Or they're like, you know what? We're going to put this in theaters. Let's at least make it look good at the beginning, and they won't notice when we make it look bad later.
And then they'll just walk out. It'll be okay. That's why they didn't make their ROI.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say you.
Stop stealing.
Why are you
your
walking all
maker?
over my tragic maker? Exactly. It's like you just looked at my notes and like, I'll just steal Francisco's tragic maker. Steal his thunder. Well, that was mine, but none. Now that'll just be a dislike, I guess.
Figure it out.
Tragic maker. Yeah. If that's the worst thing about this movie to you, then it is.
No. Let's see. Yeah, the rest is really dumb. So, yeah,
I like what Yoshi said. We'll just cut the budget. It's classic Scrooge.
Yeah. But I feel the same way, Paul. I would have. I'm fine. Don't make a 3-hour epic, but make it all look consistent. Make it all look rich and vibrant and beautiful, just like that opening. Yeah, as soon as they get out of the pyramid, it's like, oh, let's just revert to our old ways. So
it looks like a normal episode, TV episode.
Yeah. So that was disheartening, I guess. I'd say.
That's a great way. I was thinking it, but I couldn't figure out how to put that into words. But that's perfect. Yeah, it looked great to begin on, and then like regular television.
Yeah, and I think the animation overall was still good, but the way they colored it, just went away.
Get some ILM and do some highlights and shadows throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's have just a re-rendering of just making it look polished all the way through. Let's just do that.
Probably do that with AI now.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So I did look it up, just to fact check myself. Yes, Scrooge is of Scottish descent.
Yeah.
And Flintheart Glomgold was originally South African, but they later changed him to be Scottish to reflect Scrooge. So
the more you know.
Exactly. And I would like to know more about something else Rachel didn't like.
This is more of like my inner child speaking.
Sure.
Scrooge McDuck has always scared me.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow. Freaky old man. Hey, Francisco, listen up.
And I know that's his character. Like, he's Scrooge. He's grouchy and he's, but it's like, he's so mean. He's so mean to everyone, and he's yelling at the people who work for him, and he's yelling at the kids. And I know, deep down, he loves them, and he always he saves them, but he's just awful.
Yeah. So, in a lot of ways, he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He does care. It seems like money is almost equal to,
he values money more than his family.
Yeah,
exactly.
Often it feels that way. Yes.
So I get that that's his character, and that's how they write him and what he's supposed to be like. But it's just, I feel so bad for the kids when he's yelling at them.
Yes, exactly. Let's go to. I'm going to go back to Paul. What's something else you didn't like?
7 people dug an entire huge pyramid in an afternoon.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
I mean, they're wearing the same clothes, and it's like, talk about taking you out of the movie. What?
Yeah, I don't know why they thought they had to do that, because it just is so unbelievable. I know this is an animated film with talking ducks and stuff, but man, that's just like way out there.
Yeah.
I mean, if it had said like 1 month later or something, okay, I'd be fine. But yeah, that was a bit much.
Even if it was one day later.
Darn. Everybody remembers that part.
Yes, we do remember that part. I guess, even one day later. Maybe it was...
it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's fair.
With shovels, hey.
Joe, what was something you didn't like?
This was gross negligence and irresponsible parenting.
All right.
Who takes kids into a situation that dangerous?
Someone who's not their parent. He's their great uncle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like into a deep dark cave, and we're gonna fight giant creatures.
Well, he didn't know those were there.
Knowing the kids, they snuck aboard.
They would have, but their junior woodchuck training saves them all.
Exactly.
Don't you know?
Yes.
Those kids are prepared.
Don't you love how they fixed the hole in the boat by just stuffing backpacks in it?
Yes.
Which it's nice that they didn't just like gloss over that and not have.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, oh great, another animation error. But
I totally told you that when we were watching the movie, Francisco. I'm like, did they address it? Oh my gosh, it's a consistency. It followed through.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, unusual for this film.
Yes, very unusual.
But yeah, I could see. Wait, I totally lost. What did you say you didn't like, Joe? It was
the irresponsible parent.
Yeah. And so I would say that. That's what I was going to say. That I think it's fun.
This series.
No, I think it's fun that they can find any answer in the Woodchuck Guidebook. Like it just has this compendium of knowledge to get out of a situation. Yeah. I feel like that's a fun MacGuffin. Let's go to Ashley next. What's something else you didn't like?
I was not a big fan of the music because when you think DuckTales, you just immediately think of that banger of a theme song.
Yeah,
and
which
you
I'm
don't
so
actually
glad they
get
have it at the end.
Yeah, you get to hear it at the end, but I don't know. For me, music can make or break an entire film for me. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, like, yeah, the score is there and it's present through the scenes, but it really didn't do anything to portray any emotionality for me in the film. It was just kind of there. It was ho-hum. But and I really did. I was like missing that banger of the theme song, and I'm glad it came at the end. But I'm like, dang it, man! Maybe you should have had like some more climactic music as things were happening. But it's just, it was just kind of there.
So I will only give some pushback to that in that I feel like when things were tense in the pyramid with the sumo scorpions, I feel like I can recall that music very vividly.
You have a better memory than me.
But it was just so generic.
Yeah, but I mean, it was. I don't know. It stuck with me. So that's it's only a slight pushback.
Good for you. But you know how heavy an influence music has on me and how influential like movie scores can be and how I have often talked. I think this is like the third anime that I've been on, and I've always referenced music and how even like the orchestral score has been a huge part because it's not like these ducks are bursting out into song. Thank goodness. That would have been horrid. But the music just was not memorable for me in the least bit, and it really didn't do. It was just kind of filler. And in the background, I'm like, okay, it's here, but it's not really doing anything for me. And I was just missing the banger of the theme song, and I'm like, I'm so glad it came at the end, but it was just like, man, I've been missing this.
Sorry, David Newman. You're no Randy Newman.
Though it's funny because David Newman scored the movie Serenity, the based on Firefly, and I could recognize some of the similarities in the scores.
Even though this came like over a decade before, and it's got anthropomorphic ducks.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
And so I'll say. I did that since my Tragic Maker got eaten up by Paul.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, let's get into everyone else's Tragic Makers, and I'll give one more dislike. Let's start with Rachel. What did you hate most about your rewatch of DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp?
Sorry, but I am not a fan of the genie. Like,
fine, guys, whatever. Shabooey.
I mean, we've mentioned it all before.
Yeah.
He's a kid. He's a kid genie with old man eyebrows. And he screams a lot. And it's just, Like, he's supposed to be over the top. Yeah, he's supposed to be crazy and funny and the comedic, relief.
Yeah.
But at the end when he's like, real kid. Oh, you're a real kid now. It's like, no, he's an old man. It was just so weird.
He also makes a lot of really wild, anachronistic slang. Like he's using slang terms that he never would have been around for. Like, he was bottled up for a lot of.
He read the encyclopedia in one go, though. So.
That's true.
And Disney saw that and say, "Hey, let's capitalize that on our next genie movie."
I think at the very end, what did he do? He did an impersonation. Remember, I pointed it's like a James Cagney impersonation.
Yeah, James Cagney. Yep.
And that was such like, and that was just such like a.
He read it in the encyclopedia.
Sure.
Oh my goodness.
So I just thought that was kind of he was a lot.
Yeah,
he was.
So why do you think, I'm going to assume you enjoyed Robin Williams as Genie in Aladdin. Why do you think that works so much better?
You're assuming I liked him.
I liked him. Okay. All right, maybe you did then. Okay.
Robin Williams was a comedic genius. The Genie was a lot also.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's
all
just
right, fair.
That's more of like a personal thing. The loud, super obnoxious, out there characters, they're just kind of like, can we turn the TV on mute and put those captions on for a while?
Fair.
So, that's more of a personal preference. But I remember at the first Shabooey, I was like, oh, I remember this guy. I was like, oh, yeah. So.
Sorry, Rip Taylor. You're no Robin Williams.
No. But, yeah.
Okay.
So.
Thank you for expanding on that for us, Rachel.
Yeah.
Shabooey!
Wow. Wow, Paul.
That's not me. That's the Genie.
Oh, wow. Joe, what's your tragic maker for this film?
I really don't like watching Scrooge just snatch things out of the kid's hands. Driven by his greed. I mean,
like the lamp, or was something else?
There were a couple of different items where he grabbed something out of Webby's hands, and then he grabbed something out of one of the boys. Like,
yeah. That's right.
It wasn't an optional, like, hey, hand that over. It was just like, boom, and then it was like the kid was holding that, man. You could have asked.
Hey, Joe, those things were about to bite the kids. They were lethal objects.
But you got to remember, Scrooge grew up in a time where kids should be seen and not heard, and grabbed from. They're just pedestals holding objects to him.
I was saying, I think one of them was like one of the boys found the Kali Baba, the paper. In the
the map.
Yes,
and he just walks over and like, poof.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, man.
They're just pedestals.
But you got to understand, like, this man has spent like the last 40 years, over half of his life, like looking for this. And it's just like, it's this piece of like old paper that if it's in the wrong hands, and children can be fumbly and destructive. And I mean, if you were encountering a small child with something like that, would you trust him with an old artifact like that?
I wouldn't bring them along on the trip to begin.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
I was about to say that.
It's like, Scrooge, you have all the money in the world. Hire a babysitter.
Yeah, sell your sandwich and hire a babysitter. Yeah, I didn't pick up on any of that, Joe, but you're right. It's like, hey, just hand that over, or give me that, or some. I mean, just some vocalization to say that you're, like Paul said, you're not just some pedestal, some holder for my trinkets.
Yeah. You could have treated the kids a little nicer.
Yeah. I guess he needs to see how he's going to die with the Ghost of Christmas Future to get to soften his hot heart with a cool, fresh island song. Anyway, Ashley, what's your tragic maker?
I know Rachel already talked about the Genie. I couldn't stand him either.
Oh my gosh! In addition
to hating on the Genie, I also didn't care a wink for the character of Dijon. He annoyed me.
Yes.
Just how he was voiced, he felt very much like a caricature of like this archetype of this one culture, and I'm like, no, this is a terrible impersonation. The fact like he's just trying to be a thief, but he's not charismatic. He's clumsy. He's a dolt. And I know he was supposed to be comic relief, but nothing he did was funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just thinking of him at the end where he stuffs all the coins in his pants and he's like running around. And I'm like, no, you're a half-wit and you're not even funny. It would be one thing if you were like a bumbling fool, but you had any beats and you were funny, but you're not.
Yeah.
Anytime he would say something, I'd just be like, I had the same feeling about him and the Genie. They were a little over the top. They were a little too extra for me, and I cared not for him.
Yeah, I just was. There's nothing redeemable about his character for me, Dijon. I sort of dreaded him on screen pretty much every time.
Like, oh, he's back. Especially when he got a hold of the lamp and then like you see like the D on the money bin and you're like, oh no. And then he's in that little outfit and it's just like, oh my gosh.
Like a sultan's outfit.
Yeah, like a sultan. And I'm like, no, this is too much. Even for you.
Something that I thought was bizarre about that character is Dijon. That's French.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I could think is at the end, I noticed it was a French animation studio.
Oh yeah,
yes,
that's
it was.
right. That's right. Yeah,
it was.
So I'm like, okay, they threw him a bone, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
It made no sense that a guy that would be from the Middle East was named after a French mustard.
Yeah, no. I just kept thinking, okay, Mustard Man. Anytime it came on, I'm just like, that's all. I would just think about the Dijon mustard.
Wow.
Why would anyone have this name? This is ridiculous. Wackaroony.
So
I liked him more when I first saw him in the theater when it came out.
Oh, okay. Dijon.
Yeah. Maybe my cold, hard heart got like yours, and now I don't care for such antics. I don't know.
You just need a cool island song.
Appearing later in some of the episodes later of DuckTales after the movie came out, like here and there.
Oh, really? He was?
So he was
I
liked enough character at the time, but it's probably something Disney wants to hide right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that's insulting to other cultures where it's just a terrible impersonation, yeah, they want to shelve as much of that as they possibly can.
It's important for our history, guys. Come on.
Learn from their mistakes.
Let's see. I'm going to say, I'll say this was one of my other dislikes. And this goes to you guys dunking on the genie. But I don't understand. He makes a reference to the Boston Tea Party, which is how Drew learned about the Boston Tea Party. I think it was Drew. Yeah. So does Duckberg exist in the United States? And if so, is it an alternate United States? Or how does that work? Yes, that is? Okay.
Yes. It's kind of like Metropolis and Gotham, the DC.
I would say Gotham City.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's just multiverse, but with with
anthropomorphic ducks and other animals,
Of course.
Yeah.
Then
Marvel has anthropomorphic ducks.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
With Howard the Duck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
A whole bunch more ducks if you ever seen the movie. Not that I recommend it.
Oh yeah, in the beginning, that's right. All right, Paul, let's cap this off. What's the thing you hate most about this one? With the genie, you hate the genie. I get it.
No, I'm gonna go in a totally different direction. But my viewing experience this time, granted, is probably my mood, probably lack of sleep, but I was absolutely bored through most of it.
You know what? I was approaching that sort of sleepy moment in this film toward like the party with the exploration event.
Yeah, when he tries to gloat like, hey, I do have the treasure.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
It didn't really pick up for me until not when they were sneaking in, but like as soon as the bin started transforming into Casa de Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Then it started to pick up again. But I don't know if I'm just used to movies a little more action, a little more paced well or something. But for me, it was kind of a slugfest to get through, unfortunately.
No, I could feel that same way. It wasn't too much of that. It's just sort of that brief sort of like, okay, why are we? Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Because it did pick up for me when they're getting back into the money bin. That's was much more like, oh, okay, what's going to happen now? But I'm
not going to use my classic slow and boring because it wasn't that slow. It was just more boring. Like I didn't care. Like the stakes weren't up enough. I guess I don't know how you can make it better, but or worse.
Okay, here's how you make it better.
All right, this is fabulous
Francisco's fabulous fan.
This will fix a lot of it. Okay,
all right,
here we go.
It's not so fabulous.
What's the joke about, Ashley? It's remarkably fabulous.
No.
Fabulous.
So we were talking about how Dijon's sort of a lame duck character.
I thought he was a mustard man.
Well, he's a mustard man.
Here's what I think would be a lot more interesting and build more stakes inherently is if somehow if Murloc maybe mind-controlled Launchpad, a character that they sort of depend on to get places, and then Launchpad could be in the movie a bit more than he is, and he's like sort of like he seems like he's acting normal, but maybe internally he's trying to fight it or something. This mind control from Murloc.
Oh, interesting.
But then
you've been watching too much DBZ, Francisco. Way too much DBZ. That is all I have to say
Spoiler,
to you.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, no,
I'm still in DB, not DBZ.
We won't say more about that, but But yeah, I think that would be a lot more interesting. And then there's this whole dynamic of maybe they're trying to break the spell over. They find out Murlock's controlling him, so they're trying to break the spell.
You mean magic of dispel?
Yes, exactly.
But maybe he has some internal conflict about it. Maybe he's fighting against it.
And maybe he doesn't want to help, like with the flying over the money bin because of that. And so, but Scrooge's like, but this is the only way we can do this. We need you. And like, yeah, I think there'd be a lot more interesting dynamics if something like that were to happen.
Interesting.
Perhaps.
Maybe, but I don't.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll say Murloc, it just struck me like, he's supposed to be this all-powerful sorcerer, right? He doesn't do anything but shapeshift.
No, he shapeshifts, and then he has this talisman that he puts over the lamp, and it's like, ooh, I have unlimited wishes now.
Like, this dude wouldn't have needed Dijon if he was using any sort of special powers, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, my last name's Powers, and look how many I have.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
The powers of observation.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It kind of works, husband.
I think it was fabulous, in fact. It works so much.
Fabulously influenced by the Boo Saga of DBZ. Sorry, Akira Toriyama.
He's not the first one to do it, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but...
All right.
It's where you most recently saw it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am influenced by no one.
Lies.
Or nothing.
Don't believe his lies.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, lad.
Wow. Anyway, now that we've all entered our trajectories into the firing computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Firing solution sounds like she has salvo authority.
Do we rate DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, a classic? We'd recommend anyone go see this film, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth a rewatch if you saw it as a kid and you remember liking it. Yeah, go give it another view. You'll probably enjoy it again. But if you've never seen it before, keep it that way. Or do we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time. If you've never seen it before, definitely keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. So let's start with our newest guest, Rachel. What is your final reign for DuckTales the movie?
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic. You had predicted that and it ended up nostalgic. So why did it stay the same for you, would you say?
Because I just felt the same way throughout, uncovering new memories. Like we were watching it. And I probably made Joe crazy because throughout I was like, I remember that. Oh my gosh, that's great. I remember that. So it was just, the whole thing was literally nostalgic because and I remember telling Joe at the end, like, I'm surprised how much I actually enjoyed this movie.
Oh, cool.
Because so lots of warm fuzzies.
It's a fun trip down memory lane.
It was,
yeah. Very fun. Joe, you likewise predicted nostalgic. Was it a fun trip down memory lane for you, or something even better or worse?
Yeah, I think it was also nostalgic for me. That's
okay.
I don't think it has the power in my mind to, I don't know that a lot of today's youth would be able to go back to it with the same appreciation that we have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I would guess 0.
Oh, come on, Paul. No, that's totally fair. Ashley, how about you? Where did you land on this for Rain DuckTales?
Well, the train is still on the way to the nostalgic station because even with a rewatch, and it's been over 20 years since I've seen this film, even with all the things that I don't like about it, there's still more that I do like. And it's the connection that I have to the film and the memories watching it with my family, being there in the theater as a little girl and just kind of re-engaging with those moments just upon rewatch and being able to continue. It's any kind of thing like that. If I grew up with it, even if it's not the greatest thing, and we can acknowledge that there's parts of this that probably should stay buried, and I don't know, but nostalgic. Yeah, I'm going to keep on my nostalgic goggles.
All right. And before we get to me and Paul's reign, we go out to everyone who supports the podcast over on Locals, retrorewindpod.locals.com. and you get to have a say in these episodes. So we average your votes together. And with the votes you guys all left us, thank you for those, by the way, you guys rated DuckTales the movie a nostalgic as well. So
they're
still on
train
course.
too, huh?
But Paul,
chugga chugga choo choo.
How do you rate this?
All aboard.
Let's keep this train going because I say nostalgic as well. I think if you're a DuckTales fan, I would recommend this. I can't recommend it for everybody, just for all the reasons that we said. But yeah, it's not terrible. There are good parts that we mentioned, so nostalgic.
All right. And you know what? This train crashes at the end because I rated this a tragic. Just barely, though.
You would.
Just what is that supposed to mean?
We know you.
Disney. Isn't that
it's Disney. And no matter how attached you are to something from your childhood, you're more attached to DuckTales in the Disney afternoon than you are to this piece of cinematic history.
What's funny is I was about to go back to the last one and said, Great Mouse Detective. I rated that tragic also.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah. We knew that was coming.
You didn't know for sure.
Yes,
and
I didn't see your notes, but I knew.
She provided a great explanation as well.
I know you. Tragic is what you were.
There were so many parts of this that if they just adjusted it a little bit, it would have been nostalgic, if not classic. If they had animation that was of the quality of the first 10 minutes throughout, it would have been nostalgic. If they had a better score, that didn't bother me as much. But if there was like really hummable interludes and stuff and themes, it would have been nostalgic. If they had brought back cast or more of the cast from the series, it could have very easily been a classic, I think, because you're just really hitting all those awesome buttons of like, this is an event.
Right.
And so, because just none of those hit and there's just things that were annoyances. And I will say, I didn't like the genie character all that much. I just thought Rip Taylor did a good job bringing a characterization to him. So I
can sum this up in one hashtag for you. DuckTales the movie, hashtag the series was better. Signed off by Captain Francisco.
I don't know. If you rewatch the series, it can slow and boring.
It has its moments for sure.
Yeah,
but
some episodes are better than others.
I have a feeling that El Capitan would sign off more on the series than he would on this feature film.
Probably.
Let's review Super DuckTales.
What's Super DuckTales?
That's I think it's a 4-part episode is that the origin of Gizmo Duck?
Oh, really? I would love to do that. I love Gizmo Duck too. Blatherskite.
You like saying that?
I do like saying that.
It actually came out before this movie.
Oh.
It was a 5-part serial. The second season came out in 1989.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would think. I don't know why they wanted to capitalize on the Gizmo Duck because
it was
popularity
the introduction of Fenton Crackshell. Okay. So I was wondering, like, when you mentioned Gizmo Duck, I was like, I think that came out before. It was actually, I mean, that I thought it came out after, but it was actually a year before. So, yeah, no, Francisco, I'm gonna have to agree with you. If they did all their like villains and all their team ups, I mean, worthy of a movie, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds a lot closer to a classic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, but with all our reigns combined, the Retro Rewind podcast rates DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, a slightly disputed nostalgic film. We'd recommend if you enjoyed it as a kid or have enjoyed it previously, it's worth your time to rewatch today. But if you've never seen it before, don't take the time to watch it, unless maybe you're a super uber DuckTales fan. But now it's time to get back to our own time, good old 20XX.
20XX? Receiving incoming transmission.
Oh, it feels good to be back. But we wouldn't have been... Pay no attention to me hating the lights of this set. Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1990 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz, you're right here, Kennethan, Fabulous Lomax, Rosie Lomax, That's Our Babo, D. Tungsten, Dale, Mr. Loss, Daryl Hafner, Cool Deluxe, Redeemed Otaku, in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
It is I, pauljpowers.com. Thank you. Hey, Francisco, are there any free ways to show some support?
Actually, yeah. So you probably enjoyed this episode if you made it this far. So if you aren't driving, why don't you tap the share icon in your podcast player for this episode and send it to a friend saying, I know you like DuckTales, the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. I mean, that'd be annoying to type all that out. I know you like DuckTales. So I thought you might like this episode, this podcast on it. That'd be a great way. So sharing this episode through your podcast app, real quick, easy way to do it. That'd be a great way of support.
Cool. I bet they will thank you for it. Or I hope. And speaking of thanking people, we also want to give a big duck hug to Joe and Rachel Morgan and Ashley Ruiz for supporting us with their thoughts about DuckTales, the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp tonight.
Yes.
So, Joe and Rachel, we'll start with you. Where can people find you online? Or is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
Yes, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/coffeeandadventure. We actually just made YouTube partner yesterday as of
All right.
Congratulations.
We're doing game reviews and Let's Plays, but the stuff that we've been doing, focusing on a lot lately, has been music reactions to an artist named NF.
Oh, yeah.
And that has been incredible engagement. We've gotten to share our story and our faith with a lot of people.
Oh, that's
very
great.
cool.
We'd love for you to
Awesome.
come over there and check it out and join the community.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
National football. Check them out. All right. Oh, that's not. And Ashley, where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Not really, but you can find me on Twitter at Ashley Ruiz 1186. Find me tweeting about various fandoms and my faith.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again so much, Joe, Rachel, Ashley, my awesome DuckTales adventure loving friend Paul, and all you rewinders, new or old, for another fun voyage.
Woohoo!
Nice.
You're welcome. And you can find me, pauljpowers.com, at pauljpowers.com.
And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
I think the Cave of Wonders just cleared his throat. Good.
Oh my gosh.
All right. As he was saying, we are now part of Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media. And with that, Captain, it looks like we need to wait for the next riddle to unlock. Through Jared's maze, the doom of... Is it? It's not
Riddle Labyrinth. Fourth dimension of doom.
Fourth dimension of doom. I'm sorry, I'm fading.
You are all Paul, yes. Thank you, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we got to catch you all for the next episode, wherever that is. Help us figure it out by listening to our ship's logs, sending us an audio message of what you think the answer to the riddles in those ship's logs are, and we'll catch you in that next episode.
Fourth dimension of Doom mission complete. Decoding next riddle. View RRP ship's logs for more details.
Whoa, what a ride! Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it again, now that I know you can live through